No, Vlad, you can't win. Hey everybody, and welcome to Take Your Time Gaming. I'm your captain, Wesley. We are playing Titanic Adventure Out of Time, and this is episode 10. We had a lot of revelations and a lot of action in the last episode. We learned that there's a notebook hidden on board that we need to find, which contains a list of Bolshevik rebels. We learned that Haderlitz stole the painting from the cargo hold and cut it from the frame. We learned that Zeitel killed Haderlitz in the Turkish bath. We've just learned that from Penny. And Haderlitz gave us his ring to present to his love on board, who is Limehouse, Clarice Limehouse, and we gave her the ring, which had some Russian markings on it, just to indicate that Willie gave it to us. And then after that, we found out that Haderlitz had been killed in the Turkish bath. We just now talked to Penny about everything that's gone on. She has told us we need to go down to the Turkish bath and investigate Haderlitz and see what we can learn from that. So, let's get started. Grab a tasty beverage and let's get started. We're currently at Penny's. I also forgot to mention, she gave us this gas pen, which will create a cloud of gas that will knock somebody out. I don't know what we might need that for later on, but let's go down to the Turkish bath. Oh goodness, Smells here.
Most regrettable indeed. The young German gentleman, dead. In the electric bath, quite unanticipated. He was alive. Most vocally, too, just a few hours before, arguing with someone on B deck.
Well, who was the other person?
The gentleman's voice was unfamiliar.
Unfamiliar. Perhaps, if it's unfamiliar to Smethels, perhaps Vlad. He's the only one who is not a passenger that Smethels would have interacted with. What was the argument about?
About a painting. He'd misplaced it. And the other gentleman wanted to know where it was.
Is Haderlitz still in the electric bath?
Yes, I believe Dr. O'Loughlin is waiting to move him, so as not to alarm the other passengers. It is, I must warn you, a most unpleasant sight.
Yeah, I would imagine so. Thank you, Smethels.
Very good. This is most irregular. Most irregular indeed.
You mean you don't frequently have passengers get electrocuted in the Turkish bath? I would hope so, or else your insurance premiums must be really expensive.
What have you heard? Anything? Tell me.
I know Haderlitz is dead.
You knew him? Look. Don't breathe a word to anyone.
May I investigate?
This was just a simple accident. Ismay is going to raise hell when he hears. And I thought this would be an easy trip.
Yeah, Ismay being the, I think that's the chief of the White Star Line who's on board this trip. Did anybody see anything?
Talk to Smethels, his steward. Say the man came down here after using the squash courts.
Yep, right after we talked. Do you mind if I look around?
Be my guest. Mind you, it's not pretty. Now if you'll excuse me.
Okay. Well, since he's been in here, let's look for any other types of clues that may be hiding around too. Nothing here. Still just the same old beautiful renderings of period lamps. The scale. Nothing there. Water still runs as it should. So Titanic did carry a lot of fresh water on board, but interestingly, because it had so much electrical power at its disposal, I mean, it basically had the equivalent of a city power plant on board. It had the ability to distill seawater directly, which takes a lot of energy to do, but provided a fair amount of water on board. Apparently the system didn't work very well, because when you distill water, you basically just boil it off, and then the water is condensed for drinking and for using and everything else. But everything that you boil out of it, all the salt water or all the salt and all the solids and everything, gums up the evaporator tubes and everything. So apparently it was a difficult system to use and keep clean. So they tried to keep most of their fresh water on board and only distill if they ran out or needed more or something. I mean, they just pumped their wastewater off the ship into the ocean, so it's not like they had a recycling plant or anything. But they could desalinate water in the event they needed to. All that, a long way to say I probably shouldn't leave the water running. Alright guys, let's go see poor Willy von Haderlitz. That's a little horrifying. His clothes, and many knots unraveled by the road. A scrap of paper with a piece of a poem. So probably perhaps a reference to Scotland Road, the only thing on board that talks about the road. So we should probably go down there and travel along to see if there's anything we can learn. I might have this read by Trask. What is this? The gas pen, I think, in a container? Yeah. Yep. Let's check out this gas pen. Cool. Well, I didn't mean to shoot gas. But whatever. Okay. Not much more to be learned. Interesting that they rendered his head back in this frame and then not in the next. Okay, well, anything here I might need? None of these doors work still. So I think that's all there is to be learned here, is that passage. They are gone. So let's go to Scotland Road. We'll talk to Penny in second-class cabins.
Willy Haderlitz is dead. I suspect foul play with our Colonel Zeitel, the main suspect. But this clue you found, I can't make head nor tail of it. Perhaps Trask can help. Off with you now. Go.
Okay, yeah, before we go to Scotland Road, we should go to Trask.
Fancy
Oh,
meeting
the Ghost
you.
Joneses.
Snooping about the decks again? What fun.
Oh, Henry, snooping. Really? Such dreadful taste.
Reminds me of that chap Burns. That's a photographer who took pictures of the ship.
You should look him up. He's on C deck. He has such a lovely wife, too.
I say it's 8. Must. Goodbye.
I already know. I've already talked to Burns quite a bit. I wouldn't have gotten this far if I hadn't, because I was required to have those pictures to progress the story. So perhaps there's some more story to be learned from going back to him. But first, let's meet with Trask. Back in his usual spot, and not clipping
Can
through
you
the
feel it?
stairs.
The air has changed. It's clammy, cold, like the ice caves in the Ig. But you're not here about climatology. What do you want?
No, I am not a climatologist. I am a spy. First, yeah, why do you think the ship's in danger?
The Titanic was never christened. Very bad luck for a ship. They say that when building her, a worker was entombed in the hull. And though we've 2,000 on board, the Titanic is only half full. The world's wealthiest men, Henry Clay Frick, J.P. Morgan, the Vanderbilts, canceled their trip. They know when to listen to their gut. The vibrations of the astral plane are quite strong. Whatever happens will be quite interesting.
So I need to correct what I said earlier about John Jacob Astor, J.J. Astor, who's on board. He actually was the richest American at the time. He had a fortune that would be the equivalent of about $110 billion today. So between Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos, which makes him one of the richest in the world, but the richest American at the time, and is on board and was lost on the ship. So interesting to know. Can you tell me more about Willy von Haderlitz?
I don't think his death was an accident. He has double-crossed the Colonel. That may help you.
How do you know all these things? Please read this scrap of paper.
Certainly. A passage from the Rubaiyat.
Oh,
Many knots unravel could mean a rope. Complete the rest of the verse and you'll find your answer. Good luck.
a rope in Scotland Road. Good night.
Goodbye. I'll be here if you need me.
Okay, down we go to Scotland Road. To first class reception. Okay, what's in here? Nothing. Okay. Many doors, so a rope. I'm looking for some sort of rope. There's these weird ropes blocking off the stairs. I don't believe that has anything to do with it. Engine room. Knots. Knots unraveled by the road. So knots. Speed. So the ship's nautical speed is measured in knots, which is similar to miles per hour, but a little bit different because it's a nautical mile, which is 6,000 feet instead of 5,280 feet like a traditional mile. So slightly slower, or slightly faster in knots than it is in miles per hour. But perhaps that means the engine room. Let's go in. That's the only thing here. I can't get in. No? Okay. Oh! A fire axe. And a rope. Any knots unraveled? I can't click any of these items, the fire axe in the glass case or this rope here hanging on the wall, although I think the rope may actually be a fire hose. Oh, okay. Who are you?
Christ almighty wonder! You has a face ache, ain't you? Rooming the ship, poking your nose into everyone's business.
This is Jack Hacker. I'm looking for a clue. I shouldn't tell him that, I'll just ask if he'll help me.
Just who do you take me for now? One of those la-di-da millionaires up top? Jack Hacker keeps his word, honors his promises. When I saw you coming, I says to myself, they'll be wanting to know about him. The foreign gentleman, German I suspect, a remedy nervous type he was too. Gave me a bob and told me to tell whoever asked to repeat a phrase word for word. You want to hear it now?
Yes, I do, please.
But still the vine her ancient ruby yields, and still a garden by the water blows. Yeah, that's it. Here, he wrote it down.
Repeat that one more time.
But still the vine her ancient ruby yields, and still a garden by the water blows.
Thank you, Jack, and goodbye.
What's it mean anyway? Some rich man's game you play? You can have it. Just tell Conklin we want the money tonight.
Yeah, this is another passage. But still the vine her ancient ruby yields, and still a garden by the water blows. Garden by the water. Let's go back to Trask and see what he has to say. Save very quickly. So the iceberg actually struck the Titanic at 11:40 p.m. And knowing that that's a historical fact and won't change, means we have... okay. Time is going, but the time here is 11:15. Okay, so we have only 25 minutes of game progression left before we hit the iceberg, and it seems like every progress gives us about 15 minutes of progression during the night. So we only have one major event, possibly maybe two major events to occur before we strike the iceberg, I think, unless we can actually change what happens, but I don't know if we can or not. Let's go back to Trask.
What now? Another clue?
Yes, another scrap for you to read.
Aha, the ruby out again. But still the vine her ancient ruby yield. What's red and old? Still a garden by the water blows. Still a garden by the water blows. We're on the water, obviously. And a garden means plants. Where's there a profusion of greenery on board? Figure it out.
Profusion of greenery. We were told to remember that there's a profusion of greenery. Let me look through my notebook here.
I sense you're confused. Everything all right?
Profusion of greenery. Let's see. I think the cafe had a pretty good amount of.
Goodbye. I'll be here if you need me.
I thought I had written it down, and I think it refers to the cafe, but I can't find it in my notebook, so maybe I just forgot. How do I get to the cafe again? I've forgotten that as well. If I did not have a map, I would be so hopelessly lost. Ah, it's in the Afghan staircase. No wonder. Okay. That was it. Nope. Back you go. Down the steps for a midnight snack. Yeah, that's a lot of ferns. So, what is there here? Anything new? Old and red. What is old and red? See anything. Oh, what's that? Old Reds, Old and Reds. Interesting. Bristol cigarettes. What's Old and Red? What was the line again? Oh, the line is gone. Let's check these out again. Okay, well, so there's the pipe that we found in here. The only one I've seen smoking cigarettes is Zeitelman. Maybe let's see if we can find Zeitelman. I'll bring these back by Trask. See if he agrees. Ah, Georgia, how are you tonight?
Yoo-hoo! Did you hear?
I mean, not Georgia,
J.P.
Daisy.
Morgan, he owns the White Star Line. He was to be on board. At the last moment, he took the cure in France instead. Why do you suppose? Has the ship sprung a leak? I'll scare myself to death. Everyone knows the Titanic's
joke about that.
unsinkable. Why, it's the Harrises. You know, the Broadway producer. My dear, I simply must run. Lovely chatting with you. Goodbye.
Oh goodness, I met her and progressed the story. It is now 11:15. Well, so it hasn't actually progressed the timeline of the watch. Oh, okay. That's fine.
What now? Another clue?
Yes.
No thanks, I don't smoke. Oh, you want to read him? Well, very well. They belong to Mr. Zeitelman. Sorry, no signals from that at all.
Okay, well, good night.
Goodbye. I'll be here if you need me.
Last time I saw Seidelman was down on the D-deck floor, but I think if I go... I think I need to go to the smoking room, probably, because that's where else would you go if you're out of cigarettes? Someplace you can bum one off of someone. Okay, there he goes. Any luck at the cards?
With Riviera on board? Get real, Pally. Watch him, or he'll pick your wallet too.
Wait, come back. Is this your pack of old reds?
Don't mind if I do. Smoke 'em if you got 'em, I always say. Gave a pack of these to the German kid early tonight. He's an odd one.
While we was docked in Queenstown, I saw him on top of one of the smokestacks.
The last one, right at the top.
Mm.
Who knows what he was up to? Looked like he was hiding some crazy crowd kid.
Well, luckily for you. Oh, time has progressed now, so it's gone 5 minutes forward.
Please leave me.
Yeah, he's still angry. Well, let's go to the smokestack. G deck. No, F deck. How do I get back to Scotland Road? This way, yes. Urban room. I need to go up to the smokestack.
Oh, she's still running rough. You're so clever last time, you care to have a go again?
I mean... yeah, fine.
Right. There's a gauge showing the turbine's power out. The needle's got to move
No.
into the green zone.
I don't want to do this. Alright, there you go.
Cheers, mate.
That was pretty easy, actually. That went way faster than I expected. Oh, man, I have a feeling that Vlad is going to be
in my
here.
affairs for the last time. Prepare to die at the hands of Serbia.
I at the hands of Serbia? I show you, I am a fencing champion. This is quite a fight. My clicking hand is going to wear out. And he's quite a fighter. I am not winning. No, Vlad, you can't win. Fight. I should have practiced more in the gym. And he wins. Dagnabbit. I have a feeling he's been up here and snagged this notebook already, too. Okay. So I need to go back to my path to get up to the top. So, left. left, left, right, left, left, double right, left, right. It is not up here. I should have told that guy to fix his own engine. I want this notebook, so I'm gonna go back. Vlad's already got the Rubaiyat, and I'm not gonna let him have the notebook too. So, that may be cheating, but, you know, whatever. Okay, I have to go back to Trask. I'll bring you back when I'm in the engine room, and the guy asks me if I want to help him repair his engine or not. Alright, dude. We're back. I need to go past this guy.
Oh, she's still running rough. You're so clever last time, you cared to have a go again.
You should fix your own engine.
No, is it? Then you can't putt. Not while I got my engine troubles. Oh, she's still running rough. You're so clever last time, you cared to have a go again.
Fine.
Right. There's a gauge showing the turbine's power out. The needle's got to move into the green zone.
So it doesn't matter how fast I do this, because last time I did it pretty quick, and I still had no option. So fixed, okay.
Cheers, mate.
Yep. So I have no option. I have to beat Vlad somehow. I'm gonna save it here.
You have interfered in my affairs for the last time. Prepare to die at the hands of Serbia.
Or, actually, I had an idea. Maybe I use my gas pen here. If I can't beat him this time, I'll do that. I'm doing better this time. I'm alternating between uppercuts and others. So if I double uppercut, then punch in the face, then double uppercut, punch in the face, double uppercut, punch in the face. It seems to be working better if I combo him. Because that way he's stuck between animations and he can't recover enough to punch me but once every so often. Ooh, yeah, I'm doing good this time. Not even getting in a punch. You rude, rude man. After I get you some sweet flannels that you're not even wearing. And a kick for good measure, because I don't like you. If only you could save and go back in time, then you could have beaten me. Alright. Oops. Okay. Left. 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 Right. Left. Right. left. I want that notebook. Where is it? Aha! In the middle. Got it. Oh
I
no.
think that notebook is for me. Please.
Colonel Zeitel?
I know exactly who you are. The agents have our secrets, yes?
You want the notebook?
Thank you for finding it. Willie would have appreciated your effort. Cold, isn't it? I've maintained climate is the crucible of civilization. Culture blooms in the temperate. It is the tropic and Arctic zones which breed barbarism. Russia.
You don't know what you're talking about, man. Oh, it crashed. Shoot. Okay. Well, I'll bring you guys back when we're at the top of the smokestack again. I'm really frustrated because I'm gonna have to beat Vlad again, but now I know the pattern. So, as soon as I get back up there up top, I have a feeling that I'm gonna be able to gas Zeitel with my gas pen, which should hopefully let me escape with the notebook, because I really need that notebook. So, I'll come back to you in a bit. Okay. Now I have the notebook.
I think that notebook is for me. Please.
How did you find me?
I cannot tell. The agents have our secrets.
You want the notebook?
Thank you for finding it. Willie would have appreciated your effort. Cold, isn't it? I've maintained climate is the crucible of civilization. Culture blooms in the temperate. It is the tropic and Arctic zones which breed barbarism. Russia, for instance.
So Willie was working for the Russians? Why did you put your gun down?
In that notebook are names of anti-Tsarist Russians, revolutionaries living in exile. Germany supports these men. They are called communists. We provide assistance, small courtesies, and, wherever possible, financial encouragement. One of these men is moving to Krakow soon. Charming city, Krakow. We urge Willie to befriend such types in Vienna. He kept a list of such men for us, or so I thought. He was a Russian agent who was going to turn those names over to the Okhrana, the Russian Secret Service.
Okay, so I guess the Bolshevik Revolution, which established communism in Russia and led to the establishment of the USSR, they're saying that occurred in part because this list of names was supplied to the Germans, and the Germans provided that to Russian leadership, and they were able to squash they provided German leadership, and German leadership provided aid to these people who were then able to overthrow the Tsarist Russia, and then essentially weakened Russia at this period of time, so they couldn't prevent the German rising to power. So what would happen if the Russian police got their names?
Dave would kill them. Secretly, of course, but kill them just the same. Think. With the revolutionaries all dead, the Tsar would be secure on his throne.
That should not be allowed. Not when there are wars to be planned for.
Now then, the notebook.
Okay.
What?
That's a great rendering. Crunch. So we've struck the iceberg.
An iceberg. They've run into an iceberg. The idiots! I will be taking that notebook now.
What if I gas him? I want to gas him.
What?
All right, let's get out of here. I'm gonna save. (10-2). Okay. Oh! Ow.
You see, my friend?
We will all meet the devil. Eventually.
Okay. I'm back in my quarters, having sustained a blow to my head.
That's a nasty bump. You'll live. But for how long is the question? We've struck an iceberg. The incompetence, the idiots. That was an hour ago. The captain's called women and children to the boat. It's serious. She's sinking by the bow. She's got about an hour left, maybe a little. Look, you have to find that book, the Rubaiyat, before the Titanic sinks. And the painting. You have to find it. We need to get those plans. Here's your necklace from the purse. The Serbian Vlad. He must have the notebook. The notebook lists the names of Russian radicals. The Germans actively encourage Lenin and other revolutionaries. You must recover that notebook. This information is vitally important to our Russian ally. I know you're hurt, but the Titanic's sinking. It's not going to be easy. The lifts have been shut down for good. We must get the evidence off the ship before it goes. So, up we go. Now get cracking.
Yikes. Okay, so I have nothing that I'm supposed to have. I don't have the Rubaiyat. I don't have the painting. I don't have the notebook. I'm just useless. The only thing I have are these diamonds, which don't have any political significance at all that I know of. Jeez. Okay. Last lifeboat leaves at 2 a.m., so my time is counting down. All I have in here are the diamonds. They took everything else from me.
The water's on E-deck. Get up top. The water's on E-deck. Get up top.
If you've come to get me to leave, I'm not leaving Willie. I want to stay near him on the ship.
I have to tell you this in the middle of everything else that's going on. You need to evacuate because Willie is... Save yourself because he's dead. I'm sorry, but there's no soft way to put it.
We met here in the lounge the first night out. He introduced himself. Willie was so kind. Not like Mama's friends. They just want our money. I'm staying with him.
Go up to the lifeboats.
We went for a walk that night on deck. There were so many stars, just like tonight. I told him you can't see the stars in New York. The lights burn too bright. I told him to go to Central Park. I was going to take him to the park to show him the stars. Here, take this shawl. I don't need it. If you get to New York, visit the park.
And the game has crashed again. Well, it looks like I'm going to get to replay that section and see if I can do it any differently. If I gas Zeitel, I get hit with the big wrench. So, after that happens, it looks like the ship is sinking and I can't access the rest of the ship at that time. But with that, I think that's a great place to stop this episode. We will pick this up in the next one and try that again in the smokestack. So have a great rest of your evening. Thank you so much for watching, and cheers.